Hey, this is Rob Anspach, and welcome to another edition of eHeroes. Today's eHero is Henry Sims, and he's a young entrepreneur. And what really prompted me to bring Henry on is he started this video series called An Entrepreneur's Journey. And I think because of Henry's young age, he's going to be 22 here soon, and I just think that Henry is someone that you guys need to follow. You guys need to understand that there are younger generations of entrepreneurs coming in to this world. They have ideas, and maybe their perspective is going to help you. So, welcome, Henry, and I'm glad that you could be here.
Thanks for having me.
What prompted you to create these new videos, The Entrepreneur's Journey?
Well, I've got a good amount of friends who have always kind of looked at wanting to have their own business and go into this world. I grew up in it with a family who's started multiple businesses, and I don't think many people realize quite the behind the scenes, especially nowadays with all the so-called overnight social media millionaires. So I wanted to give a little bit of insight as to the things that I get up to, what it really looks like, the hard work that goes behind it, some of the guesswork. So I wanted to just share what I find and also what some of my friends who are already successful entrepreneurs, what they have to share from what they've learned.
And so, what balance have you gotten from your friends versus some of the older entrepreneurs that have been around the block?
Hmm. I've got There's a lot of people talk about establishing trust. That is the main thing that you have to do. And a lot of people don't, in the older generations, use social media. Some of the younger generation that I know of think it's the only way to establish trust. So there's a little disconnect between those two extremes. But a lot of people talk about establishing a connection, and then the other little important like referral based kind of networking and all that. So I just get a little bit of tips everywhere. Patience is a big thing. Establishing one element at a time in your business before moving on to the next, so that you don't have too many moving parts. Um, but yeah, it's just a lot of them talk about patience and piece by piece building.
Yeah, patience is the key because for me, it was I think it was a 10-year journey before I really started making money.
Mm,
I made enough money that I could support my family, but it was last year, this year, and after a course of multitude of books that I've had out there, that we really saw a 10 times increase in sales and profits, and I think that the social media has given everybody this instant way of doing business, but patience is not there.
mhm.
And so when people say, "Oh, this isn't working. This is my videos aren't making me the $1 million that I was promised," they just bail. And I think patience is that big key above all others. And patience will help you build that trust that's needed to capture clients all around, and they need to see that you're being patient with the process.
Yeah.
And I think that there's just way too many um, people that they look at the greener side of things. Oh wow, he's doing super successful, but they don't realize that it took time.
Yeah.
They look at that overnight success. Well, for me, overnight success took 10 years. For others, it took 20 years. For others, I mean, it took longer. Um, and 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 I think TikTok is a big example of no patience involved,
Yeah.
because you can jump on it, you can make a lot of videos, and we talked about this before we got on the air, is that you could have hardly any followers at all, and your views are off the charts.
Mhm.
To
Yeah.
me, that's not patience. That's skipping a whole bunch of steps to get to. you know, get to somewhere.
Hmm.
And I just, to me, I think that's why TikTok and Snapchat never resonated with me, because it
Hmm.
gave people a false sense of the learning curve.
Yeah. Yeah. TikTok, all those platforms are very interesting. Um, but yeah, like you said, it's definitely tough for the younger generation to be patient when there's this so-called like way to immediately be seen by everyone.
Right. YouTube has given people the ability to make, even Facebook too, but YouTube, you can make great videos, just talking to the audience. I follow a bunch of people that make videos on Walt Disney World, or they'll make First Amendment videos, or they'll do this or do that, and their whole thing is building up their follower base so that they can start monetizing their ads. And
Yeah.
monetization is great if that's all you're doing, but
Hmm.
monetizing your videos, if you have a doctor's office or a law firm, where you're creating videos that educate people, where you're turning frequently asked questions into videos, you don't really want monetization. You don't want people to see ads on your YouTube videos, for the very fact that you don't want them leaving your videos.
Right.
You want them to stick around, to watch your video, to watch the next video, to watch the next video. And if they click that ad, they're never coming back to your video.
Yeah.
So you're trading dollars for dimes, and it just, for me, that doesn't make sense. So I think that um, the entrepreneurial lesson there is that you have to do it on your terms, and
Hmm.
not do it just for the so-called money that could be there. Look at the
Yeah.
look at the long term. And I mean, when I was in San Francisco with you, and the rest of the crew at Speakeasy, you were going around and you had this great video set up, and you made some great videos. And I mean, that right there takes patience. That takes training. And I think when you start putting all those videos together, people really like to see that fact, that skill set of yours.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
know.
It's definitely a lot of fun, but it definitely is tough, and that's why I have a lot more respect now for these big YouTube creators because they have the patience to put in a lot of time into making sure they have good quality videos, and that's what I like about them. Whereas these Snapchat and TikTokers, they try and do a quick thing
Mhm.
and hope that it gets enough.
Yeah, yeah, but I know we spoke a while back about social media, about content creating,
Hmm.
and you were telling me that you have to get faster in creating content,
Yeah.
and I think that becomes another problem that entrepreneurs, especially young entrepreneurs getting into this business, realize quickly, is that they don't have the skill set. Well, maybe not the skill set now. They have to learn it in order to produce content quickly. For me, because it was a culmination of skills that I learned over a course of 20 years: copywriting, human psychology, writing. Um, Social media content creation for me became very easy, very quick. Just this morning, I created 60 posts within less than an hour's time.
Wow.
And for most people, it would take them all day just to make 20 posts.
Yeah.
And I think that as people progress into social media, they're going to start saying, okay, this is how I do it. And they're going to put their spin on things and their way of doing things, and not every way is the correct way. And that's why I like these videos that you're making, these entrepreneurial journey videos, because
Mhm.
you're taking your perspective in how you're doing things, but you're also bringing in experts and they're kind of giving you a heads up on how they do things,
Hmm.
and then you're combining it to make it your way a little bit better.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's very fun. It is a good. It's like a lot of people when they get into podcasting, they get to share knowledge, but they also get to receive it because
Yeah.
they have these people coming on. So I'm very fortunate that I get to speak with and learn from a lot of these people. And I thought that my unique position that I'm in is that I can share it.
Right.
So that's what I like to do. That's why I wanted to start this series, and I'm looking forward to a lot more videos from now.
But not only the videos, but also your off time. Your love of motorcycles,
Yeah,
I think has given people a reason to trust you. And
right.
they're hiring you to do their social content, to do their videos, to do other aspects, and they're beginning to not see you as a 22-year-old, but more as a seasoned vet who's been doing this for a long time.
Hmm.
And to me, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is.
But you get to meet a lot of people, and is there people that you admire a little bit differently now that you've met them versus before, when you maybe just saw their video or read their book or
Yeah, it's you never know until you meet someone, especially when it's social media,
Mhm.
because I know plenty of people uh, who we kind of frequently see who put on an image because they say that if I don't act like everything is okay every day, then my business will decline. Like I'll lose trust with people. And I don't ever want to be in that position.
Right.
That's why I like to put stuff up of just sharing. I'm riding, I'm taking some time off, like, or this is the little project I'm doing. I like to be very open and straight. So there's a lot of people who I've met in person and they're not doing nearly as well as they're saying. So I wanted to not play as though I was doing amazing. That's why I titled everything the entrepreneurial journey because it is a journey. I'm learning, I'm building.
Yeah.
But then I've met other people, and they just floor me with the knowledge they have and the whole amount of strategy that goes behind all their plans. So it's not until you get to talk to someone that you really do experience who they are.
Yeah, I've met a lot of people throughout the years, and I think there are some people that that they're very great to meet on video, and then you meet them in real person or real life, and they're uptight. They're they're just rambling on about stuff that no human probably should even know. I mean, and I'm like, really? And you just kind of looking at them like, why do I even follow this person?
Yeah.
But and I think sometimes is like you said, social media gives people the ability to present only the image that they want.
Hmm.
And I've like you, I've always been a big believer in sharing the joys, the laughters, the good times, the bad times, and giving people an image of the real me.
Yeah.
And some don't like it. Some say, "Hey, Rob, you are overly sarcastic."
Yeah.
Okay, and um, but then they'll criticize me for writing all these books, and they'll criticize me for doing, and I'm like, I can't please any of you people, so shut up.
Yeah.
Um, but those aren't really the people that I want to follow me.
No. No.
I want the people that like me for who I am, for the advice that I give them, whether they accept it or not. And I don't want to sugarcoat anything.
Mhm.
And I think that's how you were raised, and I think that's how you're going to continue to do what you do. And you know, I think you're going to do very well.
I sure hope so. It feels like I'm gonna be going in that direction.
So tell me about your your motorbikes? Because I watched a video earlier where you're doing going up and down hills and you're jumping and I guess when I was younger, I did some of that until I wrecked my motorcycle and
Yeah.
not doing that ever again. I guess I've become more fearful,
Yeah.
uh, as I got older and forget that whole bungee jumping thing. I want my legs to be attached to my body.
Yeah. Yeah, I do like to get up to some crazy stuff, and, it's just now that I've done so many things, I just need to keep doing scarier and bigger things
No
just to
way.
keep me a little excited. Yeah, but motorcycling, that started when I was 9 years old. My
Wow.
dad's always been a big biker, and, when I was 9, I always loved the little Razor electric scooters,
Hmm.
and my dad hated them, but I really wanted one. And for my birthday, we went to go to Toys R Us and grab one,
Hmm.
but they were all sold out. And there was this little electric dirt bike, and my dad's like, "Hey, why don't you get that? At least then you can go off roading and everything as well." And I didn't want it; it didn't appeal to me. But he talked me into getting it, and then that same year, got onto my first like real motorcycle,
Hmm.
and from there it was history. Just did a lot of trail riding. Then I started seeing the racing world and all the jumps they were doing and the speed. So got into that. So I raced motocross until I was 18. And when I was about 17, 17 and a half, got my street license. And my dad and I started doing the super bike track days, the
Hmm.
road racing stuff. And it's just been engraved in me. Like I can't separate from it. Right now, I'm recovering from a surgery, and it just kills me that I can't ride. I'll just stand in the garage and stare at them.
Yeah, I've been there with those surgeries, and they can set you back for a little bit,
Yeah.
and it just. But I think one year I had, and this was going back, I don't know, 15 years ago. I had a not only a hernia surgery, but like a year later, I had a appendix removed, and I was stubborn. I went to work the next day, um, and I was hurting, and but I just kept going back to work, and the doctor was like, I went back to the doctor about 2 weeks later. He goes, "Huh, you're all healed up. Did you take time off?" And I'm like, "No." And then he criticized me for not taking time off, and I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm healed. I'm okay."
Yeah. Yeah. I've had lots of injuries. I'm very kind of once I get my head set on something, I just go overboard.
Yeah.
So throughout the years of racing, I've been so focused on it and pushed myself a little too far multiple times. So I've hurt myself enough to realize that I need to take time with this time.
Yeah. And
Let this one.
those lessons that you've learned owning a motorcycle or racing, how are you putting those lessons into your entrepreneurial journey?
The biggest thing, because entrepreneurship can be an incredibly scary thing. You just don't know what's going to happen. Um, but growing up racing, every time I was on the line, there can be up to like 40 people next to you, and we're all gunning for the same corner. And I would get pretty nervous early on in my racing. But my dad would just give me a tap on the shoulder, and he's like, "Hey, if you're gonna do this kind of thing, you need to be comfortable with being uncomfortable."
Mhm.
And that one kind of mentality has stuck with me throughout all of that. And so whenever I get into a situation where I start to feel nervous or a little uncomfortable, it's like, okay, this is a familiar feeling. I can get through with this, and then it's not going to be as bad the next time. So that kind of thought process has helped me out a bunch, especially with taking the leap to build my own business and take this path because I was doing really well in college. I was pretty much a straight A student in engineering and kinesiology. And I decided that it wasn't going to give me the life I wanted. And it can be in this time right now that we're in, for someone my age, it can be really hard to decide to drop out of college. Uh,
Well,
the way
engineering
it's
and kinesiology are two different things.
Yeah, well, for me, it was like I'm either going to be like working on the mechanics of a machine or the mechanics of a body, and
Mhm.
I like that kind of stuff. I'm very detail oriented, so that worked well for me.
Well, and then the funny thing is, if you put the two together, now you're working on the mechanics of a business.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's the combination of a machine and the body, and no, so you're putting your experiences to work for the
Hmm.
betterment of yourself.
Absolutely.
Which is to me, I think, and that's exactly how I did things. I early on I learned computers and in a high school, and this is going back a long time, probably before you were born. But computers back then were these big hernia busting machines that, they were 100 pounds and huge, and coding was awful. But we
Oh,
learned how to do things, and as computers became more mainstream and the internet came out, and then I taught myself, web design. I taught myself all this other stuff, and then social media came out, and so you're putting all these experiences together to make it, something tangible that now you can sell to others and say, hey, I can help you with that.
yeah.
And so yeah, you're doing the same thing. You're putting these experiences together that you're creating a system that works for you.
Yeah, definitely. I have no regrets. Yeah, I've got some student debt that I need to pay off, but I took a lot from it.
Hmm.
So I don't think I would have the kind of the mentality and the way that I work if
Hmm.
it wasn't for those years in engineering and seeing the other side
Right.
of that kind of work and career path.
And I know for my own personal experience, when I was younger, people didn't take me serious. So when I would ask for money, when I would ask for, when I would give them a quote,
Hmm.
they'd say, "Oh, that's kind of cheap." But for me, it was like, okay, whatever, just give me the money. Now
Yeah,
I'm charging, 20, 30 times more than that. And so, I mean, do you see the struggle internally with you trying to ask for money?
yeah. It was really tough, and it was. I think when I first started kind of offering out services, I think it was inspired by you when we last talked a long time ago, and you were saying like when you learn something, just help other people do it for them or something. And so as I started learning stuff within social media, um, I think I was first starting helping people with building out Facebook groups. That was, I think, the first thing that I decided to do. And I remember within my network, some mentors of mine, I told them what I was doing, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you are way underpricing yourself. This is worth so much more."
Mhm.
And I was like, "Really? Because I can do this. Like, what do you mean it's worth so much more?" And they told me how it's not common knowledge to everyone else.
Right.
I spend a lot of time, and you kind of forget what you know, and that many others don't know it once you've been doing it for a while. So yeah, I've gone up 2 or 3 times my quotes since I started.
Yeah, I mean, now you have the confidence behind you, you have the
Yeah.
experience, and so asking for that payment, asking for that quote, um, it gets a bit easier every time you do it, and then you start realizing, hey, I can make more money doing this.
Yeah.
So you start raising your prices and raising your prices, and the funny thing is the moment I used to be down here in price, and so the moment I started elevating higher and higher and higher, I started getting better types of clients.
Yes.
Ones
Yeah.
that appreciated who I was, and would refer me to other people who are willing to pay a lot of money, and
Hmm.
I my whole philosophy that I've learned over the years is the cheaper the client or the cheaper the price, the more hassles the client is.
Gosh, yes.
And so if you're going to have or offer a cheap price, then you're going to have to you're going to expect asshole clients. So make sure that you're charging well worth the value that you deliver, and
Yeah.
you're going after the right clients. Otherwise, it's you might as well just go work for McDonald's, because then you don't have to deal with all that. I mean, but it's just you know entrepreneurs, I think, are the least appreciated people on the planet, because we are unemployable. We've developed this process for ourselves that makes us money, but
Yeah.
outsiders don't always see the journey itself. So I'm glad that you are documenting this for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's interesting.
So how do people reach out to you? How do they find you?
Pretty much on any of the social platforms, Henry D. Sims. They're all the same username. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and even TikTok. But yeah, I don't think you should be sending me messages through TikTok.
Not even on my phone. In fact, Snapchat's not on my phone anymore either. Just
Yeah.
I guess I'm just too old for that, but I know that. I've had discussions with people my age, and they're like, "Rob, you should be on TikTok."
Yep.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of the same, but even me, I don't enjoy that style of platform very much. But hey, it's the industry I'm in, so it's worth checking out and seeing what the possibilities are for other clients
Yeah. Do you see anything future coming down the road besides TikTok or Snapchat?
in terms of like how a platform will work.
Well, not only a platform will work, but something that's geared to the level of TikTok. Where there's
Mhm.
popularity, people are jumping on it. Um, I know that over the course of the last couple years, there have been platforms out there that have quickly died,
Mhm.
um, and but I see Facebook is really kind of imploding on itself. They're trying to grasp at everything to try to keep people into their platform, to keep their eyeballs there, and they're just not. To me, it's. I think people are still sticking around Facebook only because it's what they're used to,
Right.
and they don't want to try new things. But for me, I uh, Facebook and LinkedIn for business is where almost all my clients are coming from.
Yeah. Yeah, it does seem to have a little bit of more of a mature audience, I guess you could say.
Hmm.
Um, I do a lot of I hear a lot of younger people say, "Oh, Facebook's irrelevant," but then I speak with some of the top uh, entrepreneurs within the social media space
Hmm.
who are working among these platforms, and they're like, "Well, 50% of internet users are on Facebook,"
Hmm.
and so even if it's irrelevant to the younger generation, uh, still a high amount of people are on there, and if you could even reach a certain percentage, you'd be very wealthy.
Yeah, and I've had people say, "Well, Rob, in the future, those will be your clients. In the future, I'll be retired and I won't care." So, I think that you know, you as a younger generation, you're seeing your friends, your colleagues on those other networks,
Mhm.
channels, and so those are your demographic. Those are the people you need to go after. Me
Yeah,
as an older individual, the people that resonate with me aren't on any of those. So why
yeah,
should I go after them?
yeah.
So hey, what? We're running out of time. I just want the audience to go find Henry on all the networks and be a follower of his on TikTok too. So it's Henry D. Sims on Facebook. Is it Twitter as well?
Yeah, Twitter,
And
LinkedIn,
LinkedIn,
Instagram.
Instagram, and TikTok. So
Yep.
thanks everyone for listening, and go watch a lot of Henry's The Entrepreneurial Journey videos. Hey, see ya.
Thank you.